If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know how much we love exploring the origins of some of our long-held traditions. And one of humanity's oldest institutions is chock full of tradition. We're talking about the wedding. So since we're in wedding season, we thought it might be fun to devote an entire episode to some of the wedding customs that you've always wondered about. But don't expect love, romance, and a bridal registry filled with small kitchen appliances. For it turns out that most of these customs that we all follow so blindly have to do with evil spirits, contractual obligations, and body odor. And after we're through, you may never look at weddings the same way again. So get ready, because by the power vested in me, I now welcome you to the podcast.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
Hi, I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for joining us. Weddings are beautiful, solemn, life-changing events. Unless you've actually been to one, then you know they're high-stakes, emotional roller coasters held together by an unusual collection of customs. So have you always wondered where these traditions got their start? Well, it's time to pull back the matrimonial veil and see what's behind. Tradition 1.
Couples shouldn't see each other before the wedding.
There's a good reason for this one. Back in the Middle Ages, weddings were basically a business deal. A daughter in exchange for riches. So when a father handed off his offspring to a wealthy family, he would keep her under wraps until she reached the altar, just in case the groom had second thoughts and decided to run for the hills. Tradition 2.
The wedding veil.
2 reasons for this custom. 1, if the bride was beautiful, it would hide her face to thwart any evil spirits who might try to make a move. And 2, because most marriages were arranged sight unseen, it served as damage control, keeping the bride's face hidden until it was too late for the groom to get cold feet. Tradition 3.
Brides wear white.
Now, you may think this one has to do with purity, but no. In years gone by, brides simply wore their best dress, whatever the color. And if it wouldn't show meatball stains or whatever else was being served at the reception, all the better. But in 1840, Queen Victoria of England walked down the aisle in an all-white dress. And once Victoria said yes to the dress, everyone else decided they needed to look like a walking snowdrift too. Tradition 4.
Carrying a bouquet.
Back in the Middle Ages, deodorant and daily showers did not exist. So flowers were used to mask the smell of the bride's body odor. And as I'm sure you know, nothing ruins a romantic I do like a whiff of medieval armpit. Tradition 5.
The maid of honor and bridesmaids.
In the Dark Ages, bridesmaids had one job and one job only. Act as a decoy to confuse the evil spirits so that no harm came to the bride. They would take a supernatural bullet if need be. Put simply, the bridesmaids were nothing more than well-dressed human shields. Tradition 6.
The best man and groomsmen.
They too had one job. Make sure the bride didn't try to escape. And best man didn't mean best friend. It meant best bro at wielding a sword. If the bride's family backed out and tried to whisk away the bride, the best man would step up, use his unique set of skills, and bring her back at all costs. Tradition 7.
The bride is given away.
A very emotional moment, but back in medieval times, there was nothing emotional about it. This was a handoff of commercial property. The bride was prime real estate, and the father was the landlord. It wasn't, here comes the bride, as much as it was, here's a transfer of ownership.
Please sign here. I accept treasure and livestock. No refunds. It's been a pleasure doing business.
All right, we've already ripped through a bunch of these traditions, but the ceremony hasn't even begun yet, so there's still more chaos to come. Stick with us.
The Always Wondered podcast.
It's been said that marriage is the only lifetime contract that people enter into wearing rented shoes. But here we are. The ceremony has begun. So if you've always wondered where these customs got their start, let's hurry up and get past all this stuff because there's an open bar at the reception with our name on it. Tradition 8.
The vows.
Today, wedding vows promise to love in sickness and in health. You know the routine. But not back in the day. Then they were a legal binding contract. Something like,
Oh, I give myself to you. And in exchange, you give my family land, cows, horses, pigs, the usual.
Tradition 9.
The wedding ring.
It's a symbol of eternal love and devotion, right? Wrong. In early Greek and Roman cultures, it was basically a security deposit with the bride's father. By handing over the ring to the bride, the groom was essentially saying to the dad,
Hey, I'm not gonna skip town and ghost you, okay?
Tradition 10.
Throwing rice.
Early on, rice and wheat were tossed at the couple to encourage prosperity and fertility. This eventually evolved into other items being flung, including coins, eggs, fruitcakes, and mud. Yeah, nothing says happy marriage like a face full of sludge. But today we've replaced all that with rose petals, glitter, and biodegradable confetti. Partly out of environmental concerns and partly out of a desire to avoid lawsuits from overly enthusiastic guests with pitching arms. Tradition 11.
The wedding cake.
In ancient Rome, they actually smashed bread over the bride's head to symbolize fertility. Seems like the custom was less about eating and more about assault. Eventually, this evolved into cutting a multi-tiered cake, but somehow the smashing part still stuck around. Tradition 12.
Throwing the bouquet.
Originally, wedding guests would try to rip pieces of the bride's dress as a good luck charm. That doesn't sound like a celebration. That seems more like a well-dressed riot. So in order to escape with her dignity and hemline intact, the brides began tossing the bouquet to distract the crowd, kind of like flinging raw meat to a hungry dog. Tradition 13.
Tossing the garter.
Again, we go back to the medieval era. Couples did not wait for the honeymoon to consummate their marriage. They pretty much did the deed right after the ceremony, and apparently it required witnesses. So guests would wait outside the bedroom, and once the marriage was officially sealed, the groom tossed the garter to the crowd as evidence. Hey, nothing says romance quite like throwing underwear to your in-laws. And our final tradition, number 14.
The honeymoon.
In ancient times, it was actually a honey month. Newlyweds would drink mead, a honey-based alcohol, for an entire lunar cycle to boost fertility, mellow out, and hope for a baby. This wasn't a vacation. This was all about productivity, all done under the watchful eye of the village. Imagine trying to romance your spouse while a bunch of medieval villagers were all taking side bets.
2-1, she fakes her first headache before the fortnight.
I'll take those odds.
So I think from all of these traditions of the past, we learned something very important. Humans will find any excuse to throw something, drink something, or hide something at a wedding.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
Our wedding episode wouldn't be complete without one of the phrases that has become synonymous with tying the knot. Have you always wondered where the saying, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue came from? Well, actually, it's all part of a poem with one more line, and a sixpence in your shoe. It dates back to Victorian times. All those ingredients were meant to ward off the evil eye. That was a curse passed through a malicious glare that could make the bride infertile. So the bride loaded up with various trinkets to keep the evil eye at bay. As for the sixpence in the shoe, it too was to ward off bad luck. Or it could have been a cure for plantar fasciitis.
The Always Wondered podcast.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. While dodging evil spirits, the bride's BO, and sword-wielding groomsmen, the origin of these wedding traditions feels more like a historical obstacle course. But I hope you think about them the next time you're at a wedding, and know that while the customs may still exist, at least the catering is now much better. As always, we leave you with one to ponder, and it too is kind of wedding-related. Have you always wondered who invented the chicken dance? And most importantly, why? Well, we'll have a look into that bizarre tradition of synchronized public humiliation on a future episode. Until then, I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for listening.
The Always Wondered podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and a review. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. Feel free to offer suggestions for future topics or simply reach out to alwayswonderedpodcast@gmail.com.